That is until Travis Kelce pushed the train off the tracks. Travis Kelce, I am not your dragon either, Ryan. He unfollowed the actor on Instagram.
What if I told you that the biggest drama in Hollywood right now didn't start with a cheating scandal, or a leaked tape, or a canceled movie? Nope. It started with a single Instagram unfollow. One little tap of the thumb, and suddenly the entire PR fairy tale around Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively shattered like glass. Because when Travis Kelce, the NFL icon, Taylor Swift's golden boy, and everyone's favorite media darling, publicly unfollowed Ryan Reynolds, it wasn't petty. It was calculated, and it sent shockwaves across the internet, the entertainment industry, and even their inner circle. But the unfollow was just the fuse. The real bomb? It's what was going on behind the scenes. A tangled mess of lawsuits, stolen text messages, fake legal filings, and a PR machine working overtime to keep the truth buried. Because here's the thing, Blake Lively isn't just accused of participating in a sketchy legal scheme, she's accused of weaponizing illegally obtained private messages to take down actor Justin Baldoni and dragging Ryan Reynolds with her. This isn't just Hollywood gossip. This is potential federal crime territory, wiretap violations, forged subpoenas, abusive process, and now that court documents are surfacing, even the New York Times won't touch this mess without a lawyer present.
We haven't seen all the facts yet, according to Ryan Reynolds.
The drama hit a boiling point when Kelce unfollowed him on Instagram, sending shockwaves through Hollywood and turning Reynolds into the face of Blake's legal disaster.
He is getting darker and darker.
So the question is, why now? Why did Travis Kelce, of all people, publicly walk away from Ryan Reynolds? Was it just drama? Or did he know something the rest of us are only just uncovering? Because if he's running for the exits, what does that say about what's coming next? Today, we're diving deep into how Hollywood's most beloved couple, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, may have gone from red carpet royalty to the center of a digital privacy scandal that's blowing up in real time. We'll break down what's really happening behind those fake smiles, why Travis Kelce's move is anything but random, and how the fallout from Blake's alleged—
Good for them! I'm rooting for Wrexham and the team, but I just hate how Ryan and specifically Blake now get to use this as sort of a big PR opportunity for them. It's frustrating to me, I gotta be honest.
legal tactics is snowballing into something even her PR team can't contain. Let's rewind to what seemed like a normal weekend in April 2025. Red carpets, celeb selfies, another glamorous Time 100 gala. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds smiling like they've never heard the word lawsuit. But then, it happened. Fans noticed something strange. Very strange. Travis Kelce, NFL legend, Super Bowl champ, Taylor Swift's partner, and all-around beloved public figure, had unfollowed Ryan Reynolds on Instagram. In isolation, it might have meant nothing. Celebrities unfollow each other all the time, right?
Travis Kelce, I am not your dragon either, Ryan. He unfollowed the actor on Instagram. Whew, we're going to come back to the reasons in a second and go through the details, but I want to rewind and show everybody what a weekend it was. Now, this was the weekend of the time, or I guess the Friday-ish.
But this one, it hit different, because it wasn't just about two guys who hadn't texted in a while. It was a message, and fans got it loud and clear. Within hours, Ryan Unfollowed was trending. Meme pages lit up, subreddits exploded, even news outlets picked it up. And the reason this exploded the way it did is simple: timing. Because the unfollow happened on the exact same weekend that Blake Lively's legal disaster went public. Coincidence? Not a chance. Travis Kelce, someone known for playing it safe in public, doesn't just unfollow someone like Ryan Reynolds out of boredom. Not when your girlfriend is Blake's bestie. Not when every move is scrutinized.
But Blake is loving it. She is loving the attention. Ryan is loving the attention. He's getting tanner by the minute. So many people have commented on his tan.
I can't knock the Wrexham fans out there who are enjoying this win, which Ryan and Rob, to both of their credit, helped to get this team where it's at. It's just frustrating to see that she got to get shoehorned in there.
Sources close to the situation started whispering Kelce had had enough. Enough of the fake smiles, enough of the PR spin, enough of Ryan standing front and center while Blake faced bombshell accusations of using illegally accessed iCloud messages to fuel a lawsuit. And we'll get into that lawsuit later. Trust me, it's straight out of a political thriller. But for now, understand this. Kelce didn't just scroll by and think, meh. He made a choice a statement.
Their friends were there to support them. Hugh Jackman stepped out. Even Emily Blunt, which, I like Emily Blunt. It sucks that she showed up at that and gave them a hug and was so excited to see Ryan Reynolds.
I'm not your dragon either, Ryan. That quote exploded online. Fans took it as a metaphor for refusing to be someone else's protector when things get ugly. And what really turned this from tabloid drama into digital wildfire? Taylor Swift's silence. No likes, no reposts, no comments. From a woman who can sneeze and trend for 48 hours, her silence was louder than a halftime show. That's not just shade. That's a boundary. So now we have a triangle forming. Ryan Reynolds quietly standing beside Blake as the legal heat ramps up. Blake Lively smiling for cameras while her name shows up in federal-level filings. And Travis Kelce silently but publicly opting out. But this was just the beginning, because if you thought a simple unfollow was petty, wait until you see what Blake Lively's legal team allegedly did with a fake company, a forged subpoena, and stolen texts. All right, now let's pull back the curtain on what really sent this entire house of cards collapsing. Because what's going on here isn't just Hollywood gossip. It's an alleged digital privacy scandal with real legal teeth. According to new court filings, a woman named Stephanie Jones, a former associate of actress Jennifer Abel, allegedly maintained unauthorized access to Abel's private iCloud account for months. Not days, not weeks, months. We're talking well into January 2025, long after their working relationship ended. Now ask yourself, what kind of data lives in your iCloud? Messages, photos, emails, medical documents, legal conversations, and apparently all of that was accessible in real time. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't someone forgetting to log out. This was a prolonged, intentional invasion of privacy. Think less, oops, forgot my login, and more live surveillance for legal ammo. And what makes this truly explosive? According to the court documents, Jones allegedly passed this information along to none other than Blake Lively's legal team. Yep, the lawsuit Blake filed against Justin Baldoni may have been built on stolen private conversations. Conversations between Abel and her doctors, her lawyer, her friends. And if that's true, that's not just sketchy, that's illegal. We're talking violations of federal privacy laws, abuse of process, wiretap territory. But it gets even more unbelievable, because rather than step back and say, whoa, maybe we went too far, Blake's team allegedly doubled down. Enter Vans & Inc.? No, not the shoe company. Not even a real functioning business, really. Just a conveniently obscure shell corporation that had been collecting dust until Blake's legal team allegedly decided to use it as a front. And the reason? To retroactively justify their use of stolen iCloud data. You heard that right. Blake's team didn't just break into the house. They allegedly faked a lease agreement afterward and said, see, we were allowed to be here the whole time. They used Vans and Incorporated to file a last-minute lawsuit. Why? Because the New York Times, yes, the New York Times, refused to run their story without a legitimate subpoena. And what Blake's team gave them? Let's just say it wasn't exactly court-certified. So rather than admit fault, the PR machine went into overdrive, forging the illusion of legality with what some legal experts are calling a sham subpoena. The goal wasn't justice, it was optics. In legal circles, this tactic is known as self-help gone rogue. Translation, you cheat, then backfill the paperwork to make it look clean. And it's not just shady, it's dangerous. Because this stunt could actually lead to Blake's lawyers being disqualified from the case. According to attorney Ron Zambrano, a name you're going to hear a lot more, the abusive process here is so blatant that the court might toss the entire legal team. Let that sink in. Not the case. The lawyers themselves.
Here she is with Anna Kendrick. Anna Kendrick got the note. All right, stop. Be nice to Blake, it seems. And here they are. Hugging.
Why does that matter? Because it unravels everything. Every argument Blake's team has made, every document they've submitted, every media placement they've pitched. If the foundation is fake, the whole house comes down. And when the New York Times, a publication that has published leaked CIA documents and presidential tax records, looks at your legal paperwork and says, nah, this stinks. That's not bad press. That's reputational freefall. But what did they do with the stolen texts once they had them? Oh, you're not ready. Because Blake's legal team allegedly didn't just read them. They weaponized them. And who helped push that narrative into the media spotlight? Allegedly, Ryan Reynolds himself.
With this information, if this is true, remember we were talking about how this is an attack back on Baldoni, but Baldoni can go, if Lively is acting in malice, she doesn't get protection under 47.1. This information, that their continued access to the iCloud account, that this was a sham subpoena, will help Baldoni block and completely undo any of.
Here's where things take a turn. Not for Blake, but for Ryan Reynolds. Because up until this point, you could argue he was just the husband, the bystander, the man trying to protect his family while chaos brewed around them. But new reports and court-adjacent leaks suggest that may not be the case. According to internal communications referenced in filings, Ryan Reynolds allegedly approved certain media narratives, articles and talking points that painted Justin Baldoni and Jennifer Abel as manipulative or dishonest. In other words, he wasn't just standing beside Blake in photos. He may have been helping pull the strings behind the scenes. And suddenly, that carefully crafted image, the charming, self-deprecating Canadian jokester, starts to look a little calculated.
That is wrongful. Is it illegal? That's the first thing. And I'm assuming someone on Jones's side is trying to figure out how do they make it legal. Then the second thing is that was there at one point, once the litigation started, an obligation to give notice to Abel that like, hey, I have access to this stuff, either change your number or change or use another phone because, I don't know, maybe the number belongs to Jones. Those are the big implications.
Ryan Reynolds built a brand on being relatable. The dad who trolls his wife, the guy who owns a soccer team to save a town, the hero who breaks the fourth wall in Deadpool and still makes time for local fans. But if these allegations hold any weight, we're looking at someone who may have helped legitimize a strategically manufactured lawsuit based on illegally obtained private messages, all while smiling for the cameras. Let's talk optics. Ryan appeared at every event that weekend. The Time 100 Gala, the Wrexham win, the premiere of A Simple Favor 2. He was everywhere. And now it's raising eyebrows. Was he simply showing support for his wife, or was he deliberately front-loading public goodwill to distract from the court filings that dropped that same week? Even fans are turning. Some have gone from calling him Canada's sweetheart to Blake Lively's PR intern. And the internet? It's not subtle. This is where silence becomes dangerous, because by refusing to speak up, by standing beside Blake through every stage of this crisis, Ryan has crossed from passive into active. And that's what Travis Kelce's unfollow symbolized. Not just distance, disapproval. A public figure saying, I see what you're doing and I want no part of it. Let's break down what may go down in history as one of the most tone-deaf PR weekends of all time. Just as allegations against Blake Lively were exploding across legal filings, she and Ryan launched into what looked like a full-blown Hollywood rebrand tour. 3 public appearances, 2 red carpets, 1 soccer game, 0 shame.
Here was her response.
Is a bit darker in nature. How was it getting in touch with your darker side?
It was just more like all the facades that I put up, I just had to let go, so you guys got to see the real me. I'm just a dark, horrible person, and I just got to let my flag fly. So there you go. This is the real me.
Thursday, the Time 100 Gala. Blake in full glam. Ryan glowing like a man with no worries. Hugging celebrities. Working the press. Not a trace of concern about the fact that her name had just shown up in federal privacy violation accusations. Friday, Wrexham's victory. They jet across the Atlantic to cheer on the soccer team Ryan co-owns. Crowd goes wild. Blake's there waving, kissing Ryan, acting like she's the team's new mascot. But fans weren't fooled, because while Blake was cheering in a Givenchy coat, legal analysts were dissecting accusations of stolen data, forged subpoenas, and abuse of process. This wasn't celebration. This was distraction. And let's be clear, Blake didn't just attend Wrexham's game, she inserted herself into it. Full-on posing in team gear, gushing over the win on Instagram, uploading curated photo dumps like this wasn't all unfolding mid-lawsuit. It was the digital equivalent of throwing glitter over a crime scene. By Saturday, they were back in New York. Red carpet again, this time for the A Simple Favor sequel premiere. Which, if we're being honest, is hilarious. Because what Blake was accused of doing in real life is 10 times darker than anything her character did in that film. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. And it was all too perfect, too rehearsed, too obvious. As if every smile was airbrushed, every PDA was staged, and every outfit change was timed to bury a headline. But here's the kicker. While all this was happening, Taylor Swift said nothing. No red carpet photos, no Instagram story shoutouts. Nothing. That absence, it was louder than a press release. Meanwhile, social media caught fire. Memes, hot takes, think pieces, even celebrities who hadn't posted since 2017 were crawling out of the woodwork asking the same thing. What the hell is going on with Blake and Ryan? And why does it feel like they're hiding something behind a wardrobe change and a smile? And as fans dug deeper, they found something even worse. Evidence that the stolen texts Blake's team allegedly used were cherry-picked to frame Baldoni and Abel as the villains. And the legal community is calling it one of the most blatant cases of narrative manipulation they've ever seen.
Parading down the street like they did no wrong, like all is well. Oh, I got to celebrate how much of an advocate I am for women, and Time celebrated me. And then my husband gets to go and the whole town celebrates him. Yay. And then I get to go to my world premiere. It sure doesn't look like you got any damages, girl. Looks like everything's just going hunky-dory for you.
But what we love about Emily, and particularly when Blake was playing Emily, is that she has this kind of like intimidating nature to her, but she's also like very sharp. They're both the
intimidating. She's very intimidating indeed. In fact, E.T. straight out
Now, let's talk about what didn't happen, and why it matters more than what did. Because if you want to understand how messy this situation really is, don't just look at the headlines. Look at the silence. Specifically, the silence from Taylor Swift, who, up until this moment, was one of Blake Lively's most high-profile best friends.
very sharp. They're both the
intimidating. She's very intimidating indeed. In fact, E.T. straight out asked,
Blake the perfect Emily.
why is Blake the perfect Emily? Prompting Paul to answer, are they the same?
Blake just embodies Emily in a way that's hilarious because Blake in real life is nothing like Emily.
For years, they were inseparable. Matching Halloween costumes, co-hosted parties, their kids played together. Blake directed one of Taylor's music videos. It was a whole thing. But then, during the weekend, the one where Blake's legal controversy exploded, Taylor Swift didn't like a single photo, didn't comment, didn't repost, nothing. That silence? That's not accidental. That's a message. A quiet but very strategic form of social distancing. Let's be clear, Taylor doesn't do anything by accident. She's a billion-dollar brand. Her friendships are curated, polished, and public-facing. So when Blake is out here pushing double PR events in 48 hours and Taylor doesn't blink, that's calculated disapproval. And it gets even more obvious when you look at what Travis Kelce did. Travis didn't just keep quiet, he unfollowed Ryan Reynolds. At a time when the couple was doing everything they could to project unity, Travis dropped the equivalent of a celebrity cease and desist. He didn't mute, he didn't delay, he hit unfollow, right in the middle of a PR firestorm. And why? Because, according to insiders, he was sick of the manipulation, sick of the narrative, and most importantly, sick of being tied even loosely to something this toxic. We're talking about a man who knows the stakes. Travis Kelce isn't some up-and-comer. He's a cultural juggernaut. He's tied to Taylor Swift's brand now. Every move reflects on both of them. So, when he distances himself from Ryan Reynolds, it's not subtle. It's the clearest celebrity rejection we've seen since Harry and Meghan left the royal family. And fans noticed. Instantly. Within hours, the story exploded. Twitter went nuclear. Instagram pages posted receipts. Think pieces hit Medium. Memes were everywhere. And Blake and Ryan, they said nothing. Because they couldn't. But while their public image crumbled, their PR machine kept spinning, using Blake's recent public appearances to rewrite the narrative. And that leads us straight into the most awkward, most cringeworthy, most tone-deaf moment of the whole saga.
Ryan Reynolds is saying to the fans, oh, hold on here, don't push each other. And then he says, I just care about your safety, not mine. I'm not... Like, what? That's such BS. He's just on autopilot, pretending to be a supportive husband. I don't believe this for a second.
April 2025. Legal filings are dropping faster than Marvel flops. Blake Lively's name is plastered across accusations of illegal iCloud access and weaponized lawsuits. But instead of laying low, she's walking red carpets like she's up for a humanitarian award.
It's like everything's just going hunky-dory for you. Honestly, they're doing everything they can to just keep moving forward. And if they hadn't done this lawsuit against Justin and made these ridiculous claims, I wouldn't be reporting about any of this, to be honest.
This wasn't damage control. This was a delusion parade. And Hollywood? Oh, they showed up. Like nothing happened. Emily Blunt, Hugh Jackman, Anna Kendrick, all smiles. All hugs, all pretending Blake Lively isn't being called out in federal filings for orchestrating one of the sketchiest PR lawsuits we've seen in years. The vibe wasn't just awkward, it was alarming. It was like the press were one question away from being hit with a restraining order. And let's talk about that premiere, A Simple Favor 2, a movie that plays with manipulation, lies, and public facades. The irony writes itself. And Blake? She's floating down the carpet like she's at the Met Gala, not the epicenter of a potential wiretap scandal.
I can understand why he wants to support his wife. I applaud any man who does, and any wife who stands by their man. But he's way more involved in this than he wants to admit. It's so clear as day what he's doing to Justin and the gaslighting they're both doing. It's just too hard to ignore. I can't ignore it anymore, and it makes me look at him different.
What made it worse was how intentional it all felt. From the outfit to the guest list to the photo ops. This wasn't a woman running from scandal. This was a woman trying to outrun it, with heels, lipstick, and a carefully coordinated PR strategy. And Ryan? Right there next to her. Matching black suits, matching smirks, matching silence. Meanwhile, the media tiptoed around her like she was the Queen of England. No one asked about the lawsuit. No one brought up the texts. No one mentioned the fake company. Because in Hollywood, image still beats accountability, especially when you're friends with half the room. But the internet wasn't playing along. Fans were comparing Blake to Walmart Meghan Markle, calling Ryan a co-conspirator in Gucci. Comment sections lit up with terms like delusional, PR stunt, and digital Marie Antoinette. The disconnect was so sharp, it felt like watching two different realities. In one, Blake's the brave fashion icon. In the other, she's the alleged mastermind behind a data theft campaign masked in couture. And just when you thought it couldn't get more surreal, the leaked court docs revealed exactly how those stolen texts were used. Spoiler alert, they didn't just read them, they twisted them, weaponized them, and built a legal house of cards on lies. By this point, it didn't matter how many designer gowns Blake Lively wore or how many soccer games Ryan Reynolds smiled through. The internet had already decided they weren't buying it. Because when fans, journalists, and legal experts dug into the details, they discovered something way darker than just bad PR. They found a trail of strategic manipulation using stolen private messages, twisted, cherry-picked, and allegedly framed to take down Justin Baldoni and Jennifer Abel. This wasn't your typical Hollywood shade. This was psychological warfare, and the court documents backed it up. Let's break it down. According to newly unsealed legal filings, Blake's team didn't just obtain Jennifer Abel's iCloud access through Stephanie Jones. They used those private conversations to build a case. We're talking selectively quoted texts, private medical correspondence, and internal legal strategy, all repackaged to create a narrative where Blake looked like the victim and Baldoni and Abel looked like the villains. Imagine your personal health updates or legal advice being pulled from your phone without your consent, sliced into bite-sized drama, and dropped into a lawsuit like it's an episode of Scandal. That's what happened here. And the cherry on top, legal experts say the lawsuit didn't even aim to win in court. It aimed to win in the media. That's why Blake's PR team pushed so hard for the New York Times to run the story. Not for legal reasons and for optics, but when the Times saw the subpoena, they straight up said, "No thanks. This smells like someone used Microsoft Word at 3 a.m. And when the Times refuses to print your story after they've run exposés on the Pentagon, political coups, and royal scandals, you've got a problem. What Blake's team allegedly did was so sketchy, even the most PR-friendly outlets pulled back. ETMZ page 6. The NT all backed off or issued vague updates without endorsements. That left the internet to do what it does best. Investigate. Reddit threads pulled court filings. TikToks hit 1 million views overnight. People started linking timeline gaps, old interviews, public statements, and press releases. And then came the memes. Oh God, the memes! And while all this was happening, Blake just kept posting like nothing was wrong. Outfit of the day, red carpet selfies, gushy captions. All while millions of people watched the illusion fall apart in real time. But this wasn't just a digital roast. It was a wake-up call, because Blake's image, the quirky, pastel-loving, relatable mom next door, was cracking. And what spilled out next? That's when things got truly unhinged. All right, let's talk consequences. Because at this point, Blake Lively isn't just dealing with bad press. She's staring down potential federal-level legal fallout. Remember attorney Ron Zambrano? He's the guy whose job it is to hold celebrities accountable when they try to turn the court system into their own personal Instagram filter. And his statement? Brutal. Zambrano didn't mince words. He said Blake's legal team may have acted so far outside the bounds of the law that they could be removed from the case entirely, disqualified for misuse of confidential data, abuse of process, and potentially misleading the court. And when your legal team gets disqualified, you don't just lose the game, you forfeit.
If you've already run down by all the stress and trauma you've experienced in your life, I find it so hard to believe that you can do something like that. And also being in public all the time.
That opens the door for counterclaims. Justin Baldoni and Jennifer Abel could come back swinging with charges of invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and malicious prosecution. It means Blake's lawsuit, instead of silencing her opponents, could end up giving them even more power in court. But here's where it gets really surreal. Amid all of this, the legal drama, the media backlash, the public collapse, Blake's still walking red carpets, still pushing premieres, still trying to act like everything's fine. And Ryan? Still beside her, still in that same suit, still pretending he's just the funny husband with a soccer team and a sarcastic tweet about parenting. But if the allegations are true, that he approved media narratives, that he helped with damage control, that he knew this whole house of cards was rigged, then Ryan isn't a bystander anymore. He's complicit. And if this gets worse, he might end up standing next to her in court, not just on the red carpet. Because here's the bottom line. Silence, when you're this close to the flames, isn't neutrality. It's participation. So what happens now? Blake's team is scrambling. Ryan's brand is burning. Travis Kelce's move may have started a chain reaction in the industry, and the press, they're watching very, very closely. And the question we're all asking now is simple. Will Ryan Reynolds finally wake up and walk away? Or is he already in too deep, trapped in a narrative even he can't rewrite? So here we are. One Instagram unfollow turned into a digital earthquake. One lawsuit became a mirror, exposing not just Blake Lively's alleged tactics, but the rot beneath the red carpet. Travis Kelce walked away. Taylor Swift stayed silent. The New York Times refused to bite. And the internet, it tore the whole fantasy apart.
Emily Blunt was at the premiere, along with Hugh Jackman. It's like nothing ever happened. They're at this premiere like nothing ever happened. Oh yeah, everything's good. Everything's good.
Ryan Reynolds can joke all he wants, post his filtered selfies, cheer at soccer matches, but when the people who built you up start backing away, when your friends start drawing lines, maybe it's time to stop acting like you're above it all. Because this story isn't about who wore what. It's about what's happening behind the flashbulbs, the lawsuits, the manipulation, the alleged surveillance, and most of all, the silence. And if Ryan continues to stand in that silence, then he's not just the husband. He's part of the plan. He could have stayed out of it. He didn't. So what do you think? Is Ryan Reynolds just doing what any supportive husband would do? Or is he way more involved than we've been led to believe? Drop your theories in the comments. I read them all. And if you thought this was wild, wait until you see what Blake allegedly did to keep the press in check. Subscribe for weekly deep dives into the scandals they don't want you to see.